This is the 2023 Cadillac Lyriq. Not only is the Lyriq General Motors' first all-electric Cadillac, the vehicle represents the beginning of a major strategic shift for the company.
Cadillac needs to change.
From a manufacturer of gas-powered vehicles to an automaker with an all-electric fleet built on what GM is saying is a revolutionary new battery system.
Because when it comes to this all-electric future,
Nobody
will be left out.
And that changes everything.
America's auto industry has long known that the single biggest barrier to widespread electric vehicle adoption is battery cost. The theory goes that the companies that can bring down their battery prices will be able to create more affordable EVs, and therefore stand a better chance of being competitive in the race for America's EV market. And General Motors president Mark Reuss says his company is in a position to win that race with its new battery system. You guys have been clear that you're going to need a ton of battery capacity.
I think the battery is for now, at the core of cost. To vertically integrate that and to actually develop our own chemistry is a competitive advantage.
And that's what's brought me here, to GM's test track in Milford, Michigan. When it first opened in 1924, the Milford Proving Grounds was the industry's first automobile testing facility. Today I've come to this 4,000-acre track to ride along in a test version of a vehicle that GM says will play a pivotal role in its future. Let's check this thing out. This Lyriq isn't quite ready for the showroom. What you're seeing is a model still under development. But with the vehicle's launch date approaching next spring, Reuss offered to give me an exclusive behind-the-scenes look. So let's talk about how important the Lyriq is just for GM broadly. This is the first fully electric Cadillac, almost 120-year history, right? That's a big deal.
First is first. This is the first, no kidding, mainstream, transformation of Cadillac and the company. It's all happening with this car.
It's a reflection of what's possible.
In January, General Motors set 2035 as the target date for when it hopes to complete its transition to EVs. Currently, 98% of GM sales are vehicles that run on fossil fuels, and the company's best-selling cars are large pickup trucks and sport utility vehicles that are among its least fuel efficient. GM's brands, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac, have loyal followings, but it isn't clear if those buyers, or new ones, will follow GM into its EV future. GM has also lagged behind in a market where two competitors, Tesla and Ford, are already doing well with new, upscale SUVs.
But it's more than cutting-edge technology. It's the spirit of it. It's a Mustang.
Do you think this is a litmus test? I mean, if this car turns out as good as you think and expect that it will, should we see that kind of acceptance for a car that doesn't have a Tesla badge on it?
I think so. We made the investment across the whole portfolio, all the engineering, all of the component sets are Cadillac. And I think people are going to see that, and they're going to see it as the tip of the technology spear.
GM has a long history of innovation in the EV space, dating back to 1912, when the company built electric trucks with lead-acid and nickel-iron batteries. In the mid-1990s, GM developed the EV1, which was the first mass-produced electric vehicle in the modern era from a major automaker. But the car could only be leased in a few cities, and GM abandoned the model after a few years. The modern race for EV dominance didn't really begin until about 15 years ago, when Tesla arrived on the scene with its Roadster.
I'm really excited by the fact that we've got a zero-emission sports car that can go head-to-head with a Ferrari and a Porsche and win.
In 2010, GM helped pioneer plug-in hybrid EVs with its compact Chevy Volt.
General Motors is getting back into the battery business.
The Volt was marketed as a practical and affordable hybrid, but was never a big commercial success. GM didn't enter today's EV market until 2016, when it released the Chevy Volt.
This is truly an EV for everyone. For most people, this can be their everyday driver.
The Bolt offered more than 200 miles of range for the relatively affordable price of $30,000. But sales have lagged behind Tesla, and recently the Bolt has become a costly headache for GM. This August, the company expanded a previous safety recall for a fire risk related to lithium-ion batteries supplied by Korea's LG. The recall covers all of the 142,000 Bolts GM has built at an estimated cost of $1.8 billion.
Those are very serious things that happen. If you're putting the customer at the center, like we do, of safety, and if we have a problem, in this case in a supplier who is making the cell for us, we bring the bear General Motors technical expertise to go in and solve that. and make it right for the customer.
Today, the U.S. EV market still makes up only about 3% of all car sales. And Tesla, which sold about 2 of every 3 all-electric vehicles purchased in 2020, remains the sector's dominant player. But other automakers' commitment to EVs has intensified in the past year. More than a dozen new models are set to arrive in U.S. showrooms this year, as startups like Rivian and established automakers like Ford and Volkswagen show the results of billions in technology spending. Just in the last 6 to 9 months, we've heard a lot of announcements from some of your rivals getting into the battery business. Everyone's kind of sort of reading from the same playbook now. So what's going to separate the winners from the losers?
I think until you get dedicated platforms for EV and not derivative scarred architectures that carry the inefficiencies of an internal combustion engine into an EV platform is one of the key differentiators.
Until recently, many EVs were built on car platforms originally developed for gas-powered or hybrid vehicles. But because the mechanical layout of electric cars is so different, that has meant that many EVs have been constrained in their design. GM, which is America's largest automaker by sales, is betting big on its new Ultium battery system.
Fewer wires within the pack allows room for more batteries, helping extend charging ranges.
The technology uses a different chemistry and design than the early GM battery systems on the Chevy Volt and Chevy Volt. Automakers are now transitioning to EVs with dedicated EV platforms, like GM's Ultium system. While expensive, these platforms offer more design flexibility without some of the inefficiencies of past EVs.
With cars like the Lyriq here, we're going to have over 300 miles of range. We're going to have, the ability to charge, very quickly. That's the kind of flexibility that gives a competitive advantage if you have the best chemistry and you have it vertically integrated on scale. And that's what we're doing.
Today, many electric car owners use their EVs as a secondary vehicle because charging times limit use on longer trips. But Royce is confident the Lyriq and other future GM electrics will mark the beginning of a sea change in how drivers approach EVs.
If you're offering things that are $10,000 more on a vehicle that isn't as functional and can't be a primary vehicle, and you don't know how to get that kind of charge time on it, that's kind of a no-go. The whole mission was, to get people to consider it as a primary vehicle, and then you see things really start to change.